Hello everybody, welcome back. Not entirely sure if this is live, but if it is, let's have a look at some of these beasts, because they are all pretty much beasts today. So, the first beast that we're going to stare at is going to be Bitcoin, obviously. You know, cheeky transaction just floating through there, nice. Worth absolutely nothing, I should mention to you. XMG, silly little coin that I mined just for fun on my Raspberry Pi. But some of these real coins then, we're going to start looking at those now then. So we're on a 5-minute chart because we're looking to find out if this is topping out. And one of the ways to do that is to go back in time for starting from a 5-minute chart, really is what I like to do. So 5-minute chart, go back in time, have a little stare off what's going on. It looks to me like we're heading for another push towards the $9,000 mark. When we go to, I suppose they're still very low time frames, what we're seeing is pretty much bullish, to be honest with you. Pretty much bullish. There's no real reason to say that we're toning down on this level. You can see even the RSI is not even at full capacity. You have to go to higher time frames to see that. The thing is, for us to push above 9,000, it wouldn't be too much of an issue, but to get to around 9,150, that's a little bit more of an issue for me at that point. Alright Chris, how you doing? So yeah, 9,150 is where I expect to see a bit more of a pullback at that point. Now with the momentum that we've got across the market, I would expect to see Bitcoin probably just smash through it very soon. I mean, we're going for a weekend. There's been a lot of money made on alts. Alt money almost always falls back into Bitcoin money in my experience. So yeah, we'll probably find a pullback, but I'm pretty sure we're set for a launch after that. Look at some of these coins that have launched so far. I mean, obviously we've got big gains from all of these guys, Litecoin, Ethereum, but Ethereum Classic, it's like 45% up just for today. It's getting close to tripling in its value. So from just last month. So there's been a lot of money made on alts, and alt money almost always finds its way back into Bitcoin because overall, you know, love it or hate it, Bitcoin is the strongest one. So people will almost always transfer their money into Bitcoin. So I would expect to see a big move from Bitcoin over this weekend, definitely by next week, and continuing. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to have a pullback, because we're reaching a variety of different resistances. The main resistance we've already tested a couple of times just today, that's the 9,000 mark. So yeah, rejections from 9,000, but 9,150 is probably where I'd expect to see a bit more of a pullback. Ali A, how you doing, mate? You alright? What's the deal with ETC? Well, I couldn't really tell you exactly what the deal is, but let's have a look at the chart instead, shall we? And we'll see if we can work out some kind of thing out of that madness. When a chart goes like this, it's very hard to work out what's going to happen next, to be honest with you. It's bullish. There's no reason for it to pull back from being bullish. The market's bullish, so there's no reason for it to really pull back. But I mean, that is a beast, isn't it? An absolute beast. The thing is, we're only just forming a golden cross on the daily today, so to see continuation of this is quite likely, to be honest with you. Where is our all-time actual high? It's a very young chart, so that wouldn't surprise me if if this golden cross pushes us even further up here. So essentially, wouldn't surprise me if we begin doubling again. Now that's an interesting rejection point on the weekly there, isn't it? So we've got a Ichimoku Cloud Ichimoku Cloud. The top area of the resistance, absolutely 100% spot on the money there. So yeah, we're pulling back from there, fine. But look what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. That resistance cloud is basically halved. So to suggest that we're going to be pulling back from this level and not continuing, I think we're almost certainly going to be continuing. This coin looks like it's got still quite far to go on this. It's a relatively new chart. It's a relatively new coin, isn't it, for a fork? So, but yeah, I mean, what a rare beast that looks like. So yeah, that's not this week, not next week, but the following week the resistance is basically halved. So if we've not broken above there yet, over the next 3 weeks, we're certainly going to be floating our way with no problem whatsoever, up into the maybe even doubling all over again. But we'll have to wait and see. There's a hell of a lot of volume in this beast at the moment, so I'd probably tone it down a little bit as we're rejecting from that level. That's the only rejection point of any significance that we're finding, and it seemed to be right at the top of that Ichimoku cloud on the weekly. So, but bullish all the way around. So let's wait for a pullback on this, see what happens with Bitcoin. But yeah, I still think this has got quite a long way to go, given what we've just seen anyway. Right, yeah, old BTT. Yeah, so I've left old BTT alone. I went in and I pulled out already actually. But let's have a look at that now then, shall we? See where we're likely to go. So yeah, it's still gaining, which is good to see. Wow, sorry, having a nice drink of tea. So yeah, we're just poking our way above this itchy cloud. So yeah, I would expect a continuation of this one. I was looking at this one on the 4 hourly when I was trading this, because when I traded BTT in the past, the chart looked very much like it's shaping up right now. If we go back in time, see if this makes any relevance. So when we were essentially making our way up, there was big steps and big pullbacks, big steps and big pullbacks. So I'm assuming we're going to start to see similar moves to this. Now, where are we here? 2019, what's going on? We want to be looking at it around here. So yeah, we had big steps and big pullbacks. On the 4 hourly, it doesn't really look as good on the 4 hourly there, does it? Let's go to the 1 hourly. I'm having a real hard time getting this chart together here. Anyway, you'll just have to take my word for it. We had big steps, incremental steps up and steps down with the 4 hourly chart recently, and previously I think we were doing it on the let's have a look. Yeah, so you can kind of see where we were going recently, and you can see where we were going last time we were making these moves. So sorry about this, I'm having a real hard time doing this. Yeah, I'll be getting onto Matic soon. So this was where we were last year, chipping our way up. It's kind of the situation that we are right now. We're trending in between the 200 and the 50 moving average, being rejected. But then when we get above there, we're making big steps, incrementally, big steps up, big dumps down. Basically, I mean, if you look at these, you consider this wick here, all the way down to the bottom of the red stick. I mean, that's a dump of 15%. So every time we had a big wick up, we had a big dump back down, and basically we were making those steps all the way. Now we were making our way to basically an all-time high, so it was very difficult to find out where that all-time high is going to be. But it's, you know, it's not parabolic, but it's a very big incremental step. This last one, it was probably worth taking profit on this one. Now I didn't. I remember doing this. I remember getting a little bit too overwhelmed by this chart, you see, and I didn't take profit there. And when it dumped down this huge big one, I waited for the bounce and I actually sold because I had to, and I was waiting for anything more. But we just basically got a lower high, and this is where the market in general started to fall down on itself. And then I just forgot all about it because it just went down and down and down and down from there. So we're kind of mimicking that kind of move here. So we look at it on the 4 hourly. We're having little steps and just broken above the 200 EMA on the 4 hourly, and we've got our golden cross. So we're now making those steps up, big pullbacks down, steps up. Big pullback down is what we're expecting, and another big step up, and big pullback down, and blah 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 blah. As you can kind of imagine, that's how BitTorrent token likes to play itself. So that's how I see BitTorrent. But for the moment, I took profit on this one, just short of this one. It was it was only earlier on today that I pulled out on it. So yeah, it was around about this level here. I pulled out. So yeah, took profit on that one. ETC still heading up. I get a little worried about this one, that the fall is going to be quite nasty, but I mean the amount of volume that's being poured into this one right now is unbelievable. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's Jesus Christ. Anyways, let's look at some of these other coins then, shall we? So we'll look at Matic then. get off the 4 hourly. Get on the 4 hourly, sorry, not on the 5 minutes. So, yes, we're quite well acquainted with this big dump, big step up, and huge big dump back down. So, this, I remember seeing this on the Coinbase announcement on Twitter last night. I don't follow many people on Twitter, but I do follow Coinbase, and I saw that announcement that it's been. I don't really understand it. It wasn't a Coinbase announcement, not the one that we were all hoping for, but it was a Coinbase announcement nonetheless. So a lot of people probably interpreted that as some form of precursor of what's to come, I imagine, or just anything to do with Coinbase is worth, its weight in gold, basically. So what's happened here is, I think this is just a reaction to that tweet, and it came obviously at a good point in the market, where the market's bullish too. Don't really think that this is what we would have expected, generally speaking, from looking at the Matic chart. It's not really what we expect. What we want, however, is we do want us to stay above the 200 EMA on the daily. This is what we do want to see, and you can see that we are appearing to, if we carry on with this kind of move, we will avoid that death cross, which is what we've all been waiting for, really. We're waiting to see if that death cross played out, because if that death cross played out, it would usually mean that we're going to be coming down at least to our previous support level at around about 1.1 cent. That's what we were kind of expecting. That would have been the situation after a death cross. So we were very nervous about that. We were waiting for this to play out, because the price action has been holding at this level generally. It's been taking a lot longer to play out than we. Well, I mean, everyone wants to get into Matic, but you can't get into Matic if you think there's going to be a death cross. We were below the moving averages, meaning that the death cross would have happened. It's just playing out over a very long period of time. But it didn't happen, did it? And it's not happened yet. And if we're at this price action now, or anywhere above, it's actually around this level, really. But to be safe, about 1.7 cent. 1.7 cent is basically going to save us from the death cross, which is great. Being rejected here from the green 50, that's fine. I mean, just to have a giant move like this is just good for Matic in general, because it means that technically, because we didn't get the death cross, it means that really, despite this chart looking ugly and very sort of daring to get involved in, because of this huge thing that we saw, it kind of means that technically we're still playing out the golden cross from back in last year, back in November. So fair play. Let's hold it to that. Let's be bullish until proven otherwise, even though this, is going to be putting a lot of people off, and personally it might have put me off for a little while. What I want to see is a bit more constructive move after this, because if this was born out of the announcement, and I'm assuming it is because it'd be too much of a coincidence for it not to be, probably going to see some pullbacks. And Bitcoin, if Bitcoin wants to pull back, it can pull back, that's fine. It's doing very well for itself at the moment anyway. Pulling back, I wouldn't expect to see too much of a pullback on this one at this point, not with the momentum that it's gained. I don't think we'll be seeing too much of a pullback on it. Being rejected exactly from the 200 simple moving average. Break it above there on the daily would be pretty good, and on the weekly we are looking. Well, we're in a big green cloud, but I mean, to be honest with you, once we've broken above 9,500, I'd say that we're pretty much in the business of the bulls at that point. I really want to see this area here get taken out on a weekly chart. 9,500 or more, ideally more, because it would show that we're not, it would be too close for comfort. Pretty much above the itchy cloud would be great to close it above there on a weekly candle. That'd be perfect. I'll be bullish at that point. I'll probably be looking at taking on some hefty longs at that point, maybe even as daring as a 5 or 10x, which if you follow me on my channel, I don't like to do big crazy longs like that. 2 to 3x is more than enough for me, but I'll be that confident that I might even go between 5 to 10. Who knows, but we'll see. But yeah, that level just above that candlestick closing above there on a weekly, I'd be ready to go bullish on that one, and bullish big time. The market, like I say, currently is having millions, billions pumped into it right now. So yeah, the momentum is strong right now. But again, technically, even though this is now looking like a kind of a reversal now, it's looking very much like a reversal. It's not confirmed, so I still have to reserve some judgment on this one until we've broken above that level. and then that should basically dictate the rest of the market. It will certainly dictate Bitcoin's future, and Bitcoin, I would imagine, start to be the bigger mover at that point. There will be bigger movers than Bitcoin, but at the moment Bitcoin's slightly isolated. It's like the underdog, isn't it, really? Certainly not the underdog for the amount of money that's going into it. It's got higher volume than all the other coins, as you would expect, but the gains, the moves, the percentage increases are nowhere near as big as the majority of coins that you'll find just on Binance. So, Ali, are you looking for an entry point on BTT, I assume? Let's have a look then, shall we? If we're going by the old incremental steps, we're probably going to find a bigger pump than this. We're probably going to be making our way up and maybe even towards the, forget about all the zeros, we'll just call it 40, yeah, 4,000 in general, yeah. So I'm not counting all those zeros in front of it. It just starts to get ridiculous, but you know what I mean. 4,000 is what I'm talking. Up and away towards that level, and then the pullback. The pullback is always sharp and stiff, and then we'll reassess. One thing, I was looking at this on the 4 hourly, it looks as though we always come down to test, and it's very difficult to see because of all these moving averages here, but essentially the centre of the Bollinger Band, right in the middle, is where we seem to be coming down to test, on the 4 hourly, that is. So judging by that, when we come down after a big crunch down, we're looking to touch the centre of the Bollinger Band, and it's at that point that we seem to get support from it. That's the way that this move has been playing out, so there's no reason to suggest that that won't happen again. So when we pull back, next time we pull back, wait till we get to, as close to, it's up to you if you want to go a little bit before or a little bit after, it depends on when you want to catch your move. We want to come back down to the centre of the Bollinger Band on the 4 hourly. That's how I'm looking to play this one, if you're looking to get back in again. But, you know, anything could happen, because it's only going to go up for as long as it wants to, and if this one comes back down, you know, it comes back down. I mean, look at the state of this. I mean, you don't want to get this one wrong, do you? Let's face it. So this is a dangerous, deadly one. But, you know, it's your call, it's your money. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I'd be looking to do myself, and that's probably what I'd be looking to do if I want to get back involved in this one. And it's not a bad one at the moment. It was one of the first ones to make its move, so it's not a bad one to take on, but it's a dangerous one. You know, there's lots of gains to be had on many of these coins, but there's a lot of danger to be had also. Right, so it would appear that a slight dump is taking place. But I wouldn't really call it a dump, but a pullback all the same. Let's go to the 5-minute chart. Let's see what's going on this 5-minute chart. We'll also have a look at that, because I think that just dumped quite significantly too. Bit of Ethereum classic. So yeah, it's not looking too bad, is it? But it's looking a little droopy. The very rounded edge to that, not so much with Bitcoin. Don't like round edges myself. Round edges generally mean that there is a big dump coming, so I think we'll probably see a more significant pullback on Ethereum classic any minute now. Let's hope this one doesn't do a Matic style dump. But yeah, it does look like it wants to make a big red candle there. Bitcoin is holding itself up together anyway, and Bitcoin is the strong one, isn't it? So smaller moves up, smaller moves down when you're talking about incremental steps, when you're talking about percentage levels. So yeah, this one looks like it wants to make a big drop, so I wouldn't want to be in this right now, definitely not. But after the drop, you know, who knows. Right, so Link, you want to have a look at Chainlink, do you? Let's have a look at Chainlink, see what's going on with that. Chainlink was another one of those coins where we were expecting doom and gloom from it, to be honest with you. We were expecting nasty pullbacks, even down to as low as $1 is what I was expecting. If, of course, we achieved, or should I say not achieved, but if we saw a death cross. And look, we have avoided the death cross on the daily in spectacular fashion. So the thing is, I mean, I've got a troll who always likes to come up on my my channel and troll me. He loves trolling me, but he's been coming back over and over and over and over again since I started this channel. So he's a long time viewer. He loves this channel, but he likes to troll me. So I get the views off him, but he loves trolling me. One thing he was always saying is that I'm super bearish over things. what you got to understand is when you're trading, you have to be aware of the trend that you're trading in. Okay, so the trend, if you're trading in Chainlink for the last few months, or for longer than that really, the trend has generally been down, and after this huge dump, these are daily candles by the way, these are all daily candles, has been down. So, to expect it to continue to go down is only natural and normal when the market's going down. So the market's going down, we're going down with it, we're going down in spectacular fashion, and this means that these moving averages are plummeting down super steep. So, is there a death cross? No, there's not. But would there have been? If we had continued to go down for perhaps another week, there would have been a death cross, and that would have been pretty nasty. Considering we fell all this way without any kind of death cross, a death cross would have brought us down to close to $1. But boom, there we go. We've rescued. We are up and away. Let's have a look at this dump playing out now. So yeah, here we go, the dump is happening. I wouldn't really call it a dump though. It's not an actual dump, is it? It's a pullback. That's fine. It's kind of telling me though, if it's not ready to break above 9,000 today or tonight, maybe we're not quite ready for it in general. But we've made some decent moves so far, so we're not technically bearish, but we may need a little bit of sideways action. The thing is, we're going through the weekend now, aren't we? So weekends are often, a bit bullish by nature. A lot of armchair traders looking to throw a few quid in often makes the market move. That's hence the significance of all the gaps that we get. But yeah, Chainlink, I couldn't tell you where this is heading or where it's going, because technically, again, we're still playing out a golden cross, so it's still in bullish territory now. There's no reason to suggest that we won't be coming up towards these highs some point soon. So $3.17, no reason to suggest that won't happen if we remain bullish in the market. We're above all moving averages now, we're above the Ichimoku cloud. If we pull back now, so long as we stay above, I'd say between $2.38 and where's that 10 simple, $2.48, if we stay above there, we can be supported on those levels. Then I would expect a continuation and to top, beat our most recent high here, and then we'll see what happens after that point. So yeah, again, all these coins are looking great. Pullback taking place big time here, but this is what we expected. Nothing goes up that much that fast without pulling back quite a lot. So usually when you look at a 5-minute chart, and again, it's not really something I would normally do, but I used to trade a lot of other assets, and if you want to make money, you need to be looking out for these sort of things, doing margin trades and stuff, and I actually get pretty excited when I see rounded edges like that. That's a pretty good example of where to short something when you start to see this. A nice sloped curvy corner usually means a big steep drop is about to happen. And I'm not a perma bear by any means, but I do like shorting, because it's just instant gratification, isn't it? You can usually make a lot more money out of a big steep drop than you do waiting around. You can make more money in 15 minutes shorting an asset than you would do in a whole day of trading it, because most of the time it takes a lot longer for it to go up than it does to go down. So I get very excited when I see little rounded edges, little rounded corners on the 5-minute chart, but that's just me. I'm weird like that. Right, any more? I mean, I don't have an entry price for ETC personally, but I can try and look at it for the moment. But when something's gone up that much that fast, it's very difficult to say anything about it. So a big shooting star here taking place, that's never a good sign. So I would see if we come down to this level to start with first. That's the 10 simple there that we'll be looking to hopefully getting support on. If we get support above there, I'll have a look in a minute, see if there's any reason why we should. But as far as moving averages go, around about $9.72 would be an okay area, or maybe just 10 flat, because that is a very steep moving average. I would expect that to curve around but still continue to go up quite high. What's this? Actually, when you look at these most recent, well, I say most recent, the two most local highs here, they're also around that level also. So we're talking about about $9.70, $9.72 area thereabouts would probably find support. But again, this depends on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's also having a bit of a pullback now. We want to see where this is going. Let's get off the 5-minute chart. Let's have a look at the 4-hourly at least. See what's going on there. I imagine most things start pulling back at this point now. But that's no big deal. You know, it's been big moves today, and some of these coins have moved massively. Yeah, so that's where I'd be looking to get back in, if on my first attempt anyway. But I'm not looking to get involved in this one right yet. I need to see how Bitcoin's going to react before I start to put my money in other assets. Let's have a look at BTT. BTT's still doing okay for the moment, but don't forget, you know, we've got some significant rejections here all the way up. We've got some big spiky wicks on the way up. So this usually means, and again, we've had spiky wicks here, that if we do get a dump, we will get a dump, and it'll be a significant one, probably down, hopefully, no further than the centre of this Bollinger Band. And then we could look at buying it back at your first attempt. Again, all depends on Bitcoin. We don't know what Bitcoin's doing or where it's going. Right, any more for any more? Do you want me to have a look at any more of these coins then for you guys? Well, if I'm not hearing anything from you, I'm just going to have a little look myself. So, Ethereum. Plain old Ethereum on the 5-minute chart looks pretty much what we'd expect, but this is what we're looking to see, and this is how a lot of these coins are shaping up at the moment, breaking above the 200 EMA. So you can see these last 3 days we've closed beneath it, 1, 2, 3, and today we've broken above it. If we close above it today, that's a great sign for continuation, despite having what it appears to be and what's probably going to look like a shooting star for the day. That's fine, we can have a nice shooting star, that's fine, so long as we can close above here, even if it's a shooting star, which is usually a bit of a bearish sign. It can be bearish so long as the candle body closes above this level here. If it doesn't, if it fails to do that and closes underneath here, I'd expect a little more of a battle, and probably a slow burner still with Ethereum. It's made some decent moves. These are the sort of moves that you want to see of a coin. It's gone up massively. It's not gone up like Ethereum Classic, which is fine. But it's gone up massively in its own right, so we want it to go up, but we don't want it to go up like this. I mean, look, we're dumping big time now. Let's just see, out of interest, if we break it, if we bounce from this level here. We'll come back to that. We're not going to stare at this chart. That'll be a very boring channel. One then, you want to have a look at Harmony 1 then, shall we? Let's have a peep at Harmony 1. Bitcoin continuing to fall, no biggie, no big deal. Harmony 1's a strange one here, really, because I've actually I'm all sold at the moment. The only thing that I'm actually holding, there's 2 coins that I'm holding. You could call it hodling, right? And it's not because I personally think anything of it. I'm not one of these guys that trades on fundamentals, right? I'm not one of these people that does my homework on how good or how bad a project or company or anything like that is. All I like to do is trade off the back of a chart, because that's how I've made my money. That's something I feel like I've got control over. But I actually have, well, I don't know how many, to be honest, but it's about $1,000 worth of one. Not much, a very moderate amount in there as a bit of a gamble. And well, it's probably about the same now in Bitcoin SV. And this is on the back of people that are in my Telegram group, alright? There's 2 guys, right? One likes to DM me a lot, and the other one's very vocal on the actual Telegram chat. And they both had very compelling arguments for both of these coins. One guy talked about one, and he also spoke about Ethereum Classic a lot. And you know, I wish I'd got involved on that. So he does his homework, and he's seen something in one that I just can't see. So because he's got a good track record, I thought I'd buy some and hold it. But the chart itself doesn't look that great to me. So I only put $1,000 in, and the other guy, I basically put some money in Bitcoin SV, which obviously I'm very happy about now. But it wasn't $1,000. I wish it was. Anyways, the chart of one looks a little bit, well, it looks a little bit crap, to be honest with you. It's not a very old chart, which doesn't make it easy, but what it does look like is a very bearish chart, unfortunately. On the daily, what you could say is you look at the MACD, and the MACD looks like there's a period of accumulation, and the RSI also looks like a period of accumulation. So in that respect, it looks like it does want to do something at some point soon, other than being bearish. Now we bottomed out at this level here, 0.00389. I was waiting for us to double bottom. Let's see if that happened, because when this was being pitched to me as a good coin, this area here was kind of, well, it was quite recent, so I was a little bit skeptical. But only a few days ago I put my money in, and it's made a little bit of a gain, so fair play. But the chart itself just looks like it's going through a period of accumulation. You could call it a sleeping giant, but the volume is very low. Fundamentally, apparently something is going to happen with this, so let's just watch this space. But as far as the chart's concerned, slow accumulation, looks like it might have bottomed, which technically is a good sign. All we're really doing now is waiting for something to happen. But as far as targets are concerned, I think we're going to find rejection around this level here, clearly, where we've got this. That's the 100 moving average there at 542. It's also the bottom of this Ichimoku cloud, which is in the red, and we've got to push our way through this level here and above this level here of 624. Once we've done that, then yeah, there's no reason why we couldn't be looking to get close to, you know, 35% move or more. I mean, from that level to there. But at the moment it doesn't look great, you know, it doesn't look great. It's just a bit of a gamble for me, really. But a gamble off the back of somebody that I trust has done his homework. So yeah, look, we pretty much came back down to test this level from what I see here on our first pass. I think with the state of Bitcoin looking like it wants to come down further, we probably will break this level, but it'll be a difficult one to say, because again, with this area does match with these two tops here, so it would be a tangible support. We've got our first moving average here, the 10 simple, which often does hold us up quite well, and also those two tops. So yeah, we might be finding at least a temporary base here before another leg up, but that's a bit of a dump there, isn't it? Let's measure that one out. How much was that? That was a significant dump, 18.5%. Fair play. But you know, when you're up 45%, what's 18.5%? It's nothing, is it really? So Troy, please. I assume you mean Tron. Are you in Florida? I wish it was. No, I'm not. I'm in Yorkshire. I'm in York. Old York, that is, not New York. I'm English, if you haven't recognised. That's why I always drink tea while I make these live streams. Right, let's have a look at Tron then, shall we? If that's what you mean, I assume so. Is there something called Troy? There is something called Troy. My mistake. I've never heard of Troy before. Let's have a look at this. This will be a new one for me. Okay, yep, I get your T sign. So let's have a look at Troy. Why would you call your coin Troy when one of the leaders is called Tron? Right, well, this is a very small daily chart, so there's very little I can say about this. Is this an IEO coin by any chance? There's definitely some pumping and dumping going on here. We'll have to bring this right down to some smaller time frames here. Just bearish, really. I'm sorry to say, very bearish. Just last little pump here just got us ever so briefly above the 0 point. There's nothing about this chart that I'm seeing right now that's saying anything other than down, unfortunately. Hourly, still everything about it is bearish. So it's, for a coin which is so new, it's going to be very difficult for me to tell you anything about it, especially when it started its life with a pump and a dump, which is, I'm assuming it did. So it sounds to me like a bit of an IEO coin, but again, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know anything about it. Was it released on Binance or something like that? It's too young to make any decision. You could make an educated guess to suggest that maybe if we come down to this level, and this is just because we've got nothing else to go by, we're beneath all major moving averages on every time frame. I mean, RSI is just completely dead. So is the MACD. It's completely dead. So maybe you could hope for a bit of a bounce when we get down to this level. That's 0.0049. Only because that's where we started from here on this big green candle here. So you might hope that, you know, a lot of people will look at that and go, well, what else have we got to go by? You know, got nothing else to measure this by, so we can all take a gamble together on that one. You might find a bit of a pump, but would it be a reversal? Judging by the chart, I don't think so. But that's only going by this chart. I mean, what is this volume? What, it's got hardly much going into it, to be honest. Yeah, so it's not too bad, but I mean, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I'm not a fan of this. I mean, the volume is okay for a small coin, but the chart is terrible, so I'd stay well clear. Yeah, it's an IEO, yeah, so we'll just have to wait, to be honest with you. It's too immature for me to give you any kind of analysis on this one. Why would you call something Bitcoin Cash if the leader is called Bitcoin? However, you could check BTC and see what it's doing. Are we expecting more up or more down first? Let's have a look then, shall we? So, I mean, we're not dumping, are we? This is going to cause dumps with some other coins, no doubt, but we're still holding up quite well. I mean, for the day, we're still up, aren't we, I believe? We're still up for the day? Yeah, we're still up for the day. We've still got plenty of room to go before this day is bottomed out. A little bit of a shooting star taking place here. It's all about the closure of the day, though, because it is Friday, so where we close today will, will impact, I suppose, the next week to come, and that's only because I don't know if CMEs have closed. I'm not really entirely sure of that, but if they haven't closed and then we go bullish over the weekend, we'll enter the next week with a uncertain sort of atmosphere of, we went bullish over the weekend, we took out 9,500 and that means we're definitely going to go up. Yeah, it does, but then there's a gap to be closed, and I'm not saying the gap has to be closed, but if you're looking at statistically, do they get closed? Yeah, they do, but they can take a long time, but statistically it will get closed. So we want to see, we don't want to see a shooting star tonight. No, we don't want to see any further dump either, really, and it would be a shame to see Bitcoin pumping through the weekend, because it means that we want to hold some longs for some long period of time, don't we? If you're doing margin trades, the dream is to catch a move that you can hold for weeks or months. Not one that you're constantly checking over the back of your shoulder that we're going to be closing a gap at a lower level than you placed your margin trade at. That's not what you want. So it'll always taint the weekend's growth if we have a decent, too much of a pullback at this point now. But the good thing is, on the daily, we're above all major moving averages. Now we're also above this itchy cloud. And let's have a quick look at the weekly, actually. So in order for me to go super bullish on this, I've said it before, we need to close above this green candle here. Ideally I want to close above these wicks here, but the green candle is fine, or basically above this itchy cloud on the weekly. So that's 9,005, or we'll call it 9,006, and then we can go nice and bullish on that. But the Ichimoku cloud, which is something that I love to trade on, needs to make a positive cross to the up, and then we can start talking about being super bullish. Because if you look at this on the weekly, what happens is we get a cross, we had a conversion of the baseline cross here, it means we have continuation down. If we have a conversion of the baseline cross, which we did have here, it means we have continuation up. But then we have a continuation down when we get an Ichimoku cloud cross here, and we only came down to this level here. But I'm willing to accept that, because technically we are meant to be the first, I suppose we're now in the second year. Are we in the second year? The second year of the 4-year cycle, which means that we've got, about roughly speaking, about 24 months left of a bull trend before we have a parabolic top, which is likely to reach between $50,000 to $100,000. But yeah, so maybe we have bottomed out here, despite the itchy cloud only taking place at this price action here, coming down to this level here. This is supposed to be a bull market, so yeah, we'll see if this gets continued down. Let's hope it doesn't, because there'll be a lot of people losing a lot of money, I can tell you that much. Bitcoin Cash, I can't really look at Bitcoin Cash because I did it the other day. Binance doesn't allow you to look at it on a long-term time frame. It doesn't have that chart. I'm not going to be opening TradingView and putting up all my moving averages. I'm not a member of all that, so I'm not going to do it. But what I can say is that it's a very strong coin. I like it a lot, and in all fairness, it's about as good as Litecoin is. If we look at Litecoin, you can pretty much say that Bitcoin Cash trades pretty much the same as Litecoin. There's not much between the two. So whatever Litecoin does, Bitcoin Cash seems to do. So judging by Litecoin, we've had this is only a 5-minute chart, so it looks worse than it really is. It's actually really quite good. So yeah, we've got a bit of a pullback, but this is very strong now. We're above the 200 EMA on the daily, very similar to the way that Bitcoin's set up. on the daily. Very similar, in fact, apart from Litecoin likes to make bigger, bolder moves. It's one of the strongest altcoins out there. When it comes to volume, liquidity, reliability, it's one of the strongest ones out there. And I would say that it's in exactly the same situation as Bitcoin Cash. So I hope that's okay for you there, Ali A. I hope that suffice your query, but like I say, I've got nothing else to go by when it goes to Bitcoin Cash. It's not a chart that gives you much history. I don't know why that happened, to be honest with you. But Binance was weird when I came to look at it. So they never used to be like that. But they've cut the chart they've sliced the chart, and you only have a little snippet to go by. So I can't really do TA on it, really. Sorry about that, mate. Yeah, I've already reviewed Matic, but let's have a look at that one that you're talking about. I'm not even going to bother to pronounce that. So let's continue in this dump here. Let's see if we touch that and bounce from it. While I search for that coin, what was it? T0. It's not here, mate. It's not here, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. Unless it's got a different ticker on it, I can't really look at it, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. But anything else you want me to have a look at, very happy to do that. Again, like, some people send me super chats on this channel from time to time. What I would say is, you can send me a super chat. Not that many people do, but if you ever did want to donate to me, and I'm not putting any pressure on you to do that, I'm not begging for money or anything like that. You don't need to do that. But rather than send a super chat, there's a Bitcoin address. You can put some money through to that. That would be much better for me, because YouTube, I love the platform. It's brilliant, but they take about, I think they take 35% of your super chat away. So that donation that you give to me in a super chat gets 35% goes to YouTube, and then tax and VAT on top of that. I pretty much get only just over half. I get about 55% of whatever it is that you donate to me on YouTube. So just don't bother doing it. I appreciate the people that do it, but it's just a shame, really. You don't need to give me any money. But if you do want to do it through a donation on Bitcoin or one of those other addresses I've got at the bottom. Don't do a super chat. It just goes to YouTube, and I think they're doing all right for themselves. XTZ. Let's have a look at that then, shall we, mate? So this did some big moves before. I never really heard of it. I never really looked at it, but it was doing some fair old beastie moves not too long ago. Yeah, look at the size of these gains. Yeah, so that's basically doubled. So we're looking at this on the daily. It's a new chart, well, relatively new. It's not very old on Binance, so we don't have the moving averages that we want. So let's go down to the 12-hour to see what we have here. We have a very bullish looking chart, to be honest with you. So I'd imagine that the daily essentially is still very bullish on this one. So against all major moving averages on the 12-hourly, finding rejection at this level on this itchy cloud, 1.53, so $1.53. Whoops, you get to see all my history there. How embarrassing. Right, let's have a look at the daily. And basically against all above all major moving averages, find a rejection on this itchy cloud. So it's the itchy cloud that's playing out right now. Is there a reason why this level is being rejected from here historically? It doesn't appear to be any other reason to be rejected from this area, historically speaking. So that would suggest to me that it's there and about around the itchy cloud that it's being rejected from. Let's have a look on the weekly, see if there's any telltale signs on the weekly. There's nothing to go by, but it's a newish chart, so it wouldn't really be either. So we're getting rejected from here, which means is in a good way that the cloud is green, or we're getting rejected from the top of it. We're still staying generally within it. We're way above, way above the Bollinger Band, so we have to come back down within it. But the good news is the cloud appears to be shrinking as time goes on. So in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, the price action that, if we're at the price action that we are at right now or above, we'll probably see some significant gains if the market remains to be bullish, which At the moment it's 50-50, we just don't know really, but yeah, so I would expect to see continuation of this after a bit of a pullback. Look at the size of that breach of the Bollinger Band. Crashed right out of it. We're probably going to come back down within it, but trade within this range for the next 5 days. The range will be as low as $1.34 to perhaps as high as $1.56, and then over the next 5 days those resistances will all completely disappear. Moving averages will be gaining up, so I would expect continuation of this one. This time next week we should see some bigger moves from it, provided that the market is still bullish. That is, Bitcoin is what we're talking about. If Bitcoin is still bullish. VeChain, right, I haven't looked at that one in a while. Let's have a peep at VeChain, shall we? I used to look at this one a lot, but it didn't really do a great deal. Bit of an underperformer, if you ask me. So we're finding our bounces now, aren't we? Yeah, we bounced on that one, didn't we, on Ethereum Classic. Bitcoin looks like it wants to make a stab at this level here. So let's stick to what I was doing there, VeChain. So VeChain, again, nice and bullish, very bullish. Avoided what would appear to be the death cross. We had a golden cross back here, so that didn't really play out very well, did it? So it looks kind of messy. This would suggest to me that something happened in the technology. There was a pump for some kind of fundamental reason, and it forced a golden cross, which is often good, but to have a pump like that and a golden cross take place in the midst of a dump, that's not good TA. So I can't really explain that one to me. You'll have to explain it to me more. If you know about VeChain. Did VeChain say or do something? Were they accepted on Coinbase? What happened there? Because that doesn't make any sense to me, to have a pump like that, but it did, so I can't dispute it. But it wasn't anything to do with the TA, I can tell you that much. So yeah, golden cross, big dump, interesting, strange. Then a very generous bounce back up there, perhaps maybe caused by the golden cross. So technically we're still playing out a golden cross, even though it's contradicting its actual TA. I don't really like this chart, to be honest with you. I don't like it at all, so I would stay away from this one personally, because it doesn't make any sense to me. So there's a lot of alts that do things that make no sense, I'm afraid, and this one is one of those coins that makes no sense to me, so I can't tell you what's going to happen with it, to be honest with you. It's all over the place. It's a massive contradictory chart, so if you want to trade this off the back of fundamentals, feel free to do so, but I can't tell you anything about that. It makes no sense, so sorry about that one. Let's have a look at something else then. What did you guys want me to look at? Tron then, shall we? And Tron is another one of these ones that makes no sense. Why am I writing Tron in there? It's T-Rex in it. Let's have a look at T-Rex then, shall we? Again, this is another one of those coins, when you look at the chart, it's a massive mess. It's looking good though, but it's a work in progress, definitely. Pumps, dumps, bounces, bottom. Not an actual bottom though. We bottomed out here, but we tested it once back down here and twice down here. So I would expect this one to have big moves down as well as up. So it's looking okay chart wise. Let's have a look. RSI is maxed out, so I expect a pullback from there. MACD is pretty high, so I'd expect a pullback. Quite steep simple moving average here, which looks as though roughly speaking we're being rejected from, and we're right at the top and burst out the Bollinger Band. So you know, it depends on what the rest of the market wants to do, but I think personally, if we do pump up from here, there'll be a significant drop back down again. I don't like this coin. I don't really like it because I think it's subject to some crazy, I mean, you say manipulation, I mean all these coins are manipulated, aren't they? But I don't like the look of it, to be honest with you. I've never really liked trading it. I wouldn't trade it myself, and yeah, I just, you know, the chart looks okay, let's say it like that, but we'll have to give it a bit more time to mature. But it's all over the place. It's messy as anything. It's spiky and all over the place. I don't like it. It's similar to VeChain in the way that I feel like it's unpredictable. It's too messy for me to give you any kind of analysis on that one as well. So I'm sorry about that. I can't really tell you what to do. ADA. I haven't looked at this one properly since last year. Let's have a look. So I mean, it's doing all right. It was making significant pumps last year. I remember that, but then completely just fell out the sky. So this one, it looks a bit better than T-Rex, but it's following the same kind of weird moves. Progressively, though, it does look a bit better. Ever so slightly. Same kind of... Actually, it's not the same. We bottomed out recently here, so we found a lot of coins bottomed out at this level. So this is where Bitcoin came down to test its bottom. So Bitcoin looks like it might have bottomed at this level here. So that was the 6,600 Bitcoin level. So dancing around there for a little bit, and it's basically just moving with Bitcoin, really, isn't it? Let's have a look at that on the daily and Bitcoin on the daily. We kind of, I've got sort of a few more trend lines in this one, but it's pretty much doing the same thing. It's moving higher and faster than Bitcoin, definitely. It's basically like Bitcoin on a little bit of steroids at the moment. But this is exactly what it did last year. It moved exactly with Bitcoin. It moved with the market, let's just say that. So it moved with the market, which is what it's doing. It's moving with the market. So it's not bad, it's not great, it's just in the middle, but it's not doing its own thing. I really don't think that ADA's chart has a mind of its own. I think it just trends with the market. So it's a bit of like an index. If you think about it like a on some CFD trading platforms or some margin platforms, you can trade the top 10 index of cryptocurrencies, and that's essentially like trading ADA. It's not the biggest gainer, it's not the smallest gainer, it's kind of in the middle, but it doesn't have a mind of its own. That's how I look at it. VeChain reacts to news, which XRP doesn't. Yeah, you're right. XRP never does anything, does it? I do trade. I say trade it. I have a bit of XRP that I use to margin trade with. Nothing more than that. But yeah. I can tell just from that chart that something's going on with VeChain to make it move like that. Nothing would do a big boom move like that for no reason. On the TA, it has to be to do with some kind of news or some kind of development somewhere or some kind of announcement. So yeah, I can't trade those sort of things really. Right, any more? Do you want me to have a look at some stuff, or should we call it a night really? Should we sit down and do some trading, or should we just put Netflix on and just relax for a bit? I don't know. I'll tell you what I'll look at though, because some of these coins I like to look at. What coins do I think are good? Do you know what I'd actually quite like? I quite like Binance coin, to be honest with you. Not many people agree with me, but I do like it. So there's a 5-minute chart. It's not going to show you much, but it's a slow but steady, constructive, nice looking chart. I think this one's got quite a fair way to go. So the last live stream I was doing, we were waiting for it to pop up and touch this level here to be rejected from, which is kind of what's happened here. So we're stuck beneath the 200 EMA. That's fine. We don't want to go mad, do we? We don't want to go crazy. We have a conversion baseline cross here, which suggests continuation from that level, which is so far what we're getting. We're above the cloud too. So our trading range is from the top of the cloud here. We'll call it $17, thereabouts, and the top of the cloud here, we'll call it 18.10, 18 cent. Sorry, $18.10. So that's our trading range at the moment. If the market collapses, we should start to see bounces from this level here. If we break down beneath it, then it might get a bit nasty, and we'll look to test the center of the Bollinger Band on the daily, perhaps, maybe. But that'd be a big fall back down to around about $15. Very much doubt that will happen. It depends on Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't look like it wants to collapse. It looks like it wants to pull back, but not collapse. Probably looks more like it wants to continue. And I would say that Binance coin wants to continue too. So the next big move from here, once we break above this level, $18.17, and we close above there on a daily, we're looking for a big move all the way up to around $20.70 before I pull back there, and then we'll start to see some nice big decent continuation moves, but slow and steady, the same pace of Bitcoin, but bigger gains. and that's why I like it. I really do like Binance Coin. If you think about the way that Binance is set up, right, there's pros and cons to it. So, and again, this is me going into my very small knowledge of fundamentals, but I trade on Binance, so it's in my interest. So, if you want to hold Binance Coin, right, it means that a lot of people are going to have to hold. They don't have to, but it serves a purpose to hold it because you have reduced trading fees. So, some people, let's just say, I would expect the vast majority, if not all, people trading on Binance have a little bit of BNB to soften the blow of that trading fee. So that's got to be several million, perhaps, Binance coins just being held. Even if everybody just has one or two, that's millions that people are just holding on to. That's essentially collective hodling, even if it's just a little bit. If you're a little bit more interested in it, like me, you hold a little bit more because you like the way that the chart looks. And by the nature of the nature of cryptocurrency, more people get involved every single day, and most people are attracted to Binance because it's the biggest trading platform as far as exchanges are concerned. It's just an accumulative effect. I understand that they burn some of them every now and then. I'm not really entirely sure. You'll have to tell me more about that if you know about it. But yeah, fundamentally, it makes a lot of sense that there's reason to believe that it will just go up more than other coins because there's incentive to hodl it, and there's millions of users of Binance. The problem I have with it, which is unfortunate, that there is a big problem, is that every now and then, if a country gets a problem with China or with Binance in general, that basically will rule out millions of users of it, which it will affect nothing more than the Binance token, Binance coin. That will be the hardest hit just by nature. So there is a risk there, a fundamental flaw in the system. But other than that, that's one of my favourite coins. Litecoin is again one of my favourite coins, basically setting itself up to look like the way that I would imagine Binance coin to look when it breaks out at this level. So Binance is just being held back on the 200. Litecoin is just broken out from the 200, and Bitcoin is broken above all of those before. So if we're looking at all of these coins, the strong coins, they're looking like they're following Bitcoin's trend, but they're a little bit behind. But they gain more. So whatever Bitcoin decides to do, these top alts will do the same, and they will do more. Again, with Ethereum, look, Ethereum's the same setup, above the cloud, and breaking up above the 200 now, likely to be rejected from the 200 simple. So they all basically follow the same. Poor old XRP is the slowest of all, and it's not even got above the cloud yet. Is basically coming back down within the Bollinger Band. So poor old XRP. We've got to love it, We've got to love it. It's like I tell you what it's like. It's like that mate that you had in school that you did cross country with, and he was a good mate, and you liked to chat with him, but he was always at the back. You could never keep up. But he's a good lad all the same. You like him, but he's never going to win a race. But he's a good lad. And that's basically what XRP is. XRP is, it will finish the race. It's not going to give up halfway. It definitely will finish the race, but it's never going to be first. So what I mean by that weird analogy is that I do expect it to reach its all-time high again, of around $3.50 or whatever it was. But I don't expect it to do it anytime soon. Let's face it like that. We might get there in a couple of years, but it's a very, very slow burner. Right, that's pretty much all I've got for you then. So the coins I like to trade, I have XRP just through margin trading. I have Litecoin I trade, BNB I trade, Ethereum I'm trading, Matic I like to trade. I'm not trading it now. One I'm holding, but only because I've been given a tip from somebody who seems to know a lot more than me. Bitcoin SV I'm holding for the same reason. It's kind of like that what if sort of thing, so I'm holding a bit of that, but not much. And Bitcoin. So that's all I really trade, to be honest with you. I very rarely trade outside of those coins because I've been trading for a long time now. Crypto I've been doing for about 3 years, so not really a long time for crypto, but before then I did trade traditional markets. And one thing I learned is that you can't trade everything. What you really want to do is you want to focus on a handful and get to know them as well as possible, because the more you know them, the more of of an informed decision you can make when you come to place an actual trade. So I mainly traded a little bit of forex, but mostly commodities, things like gold, silver, oil, natural gas, stuff like that. And I would focus on those, and I would look at those every day, and I would learn as much as I could about everything you could possibly imagine about them, to make the most informed decision. Moving into crypto, it seems a lot easier to trade those, because you can use the charts much better than you can do when you're trading commodities, because, similar to the way that VeChain looks, you can't predict that. That's to do with something else going on that's completely out of the realms of TA, and that's what all traditional markets are subject to. And crypto is a lot less like that. I mean, obviously there's things like halving events and recently political events, but generally speaking, you can use the chart, and the chart is more reliable on crypto than it is on any other asset in traditional markets. That's what I find anyway, and that's why I like it. That's why I moved solely into trading crypto. I moved completely away from all traditional markets, unless there's something really specific going on, and I'll have a little dabble in it. But again, I don't trade it like I used to. I barely trade it at all. So that's the way I trade, and that's why I like to trade just a handful, of coins, because I don't have enough time in the day to learn the movements of more than about 5 or 6 assets. So that's it for me, really. I mainly just trade about 5, but I do have some on my radar, like things like BitTorrent token, and I suppose Matic is on my radar always, but I don't trade it regularly. I wait for certain things to be hit. Other coins are more realistic, like Litecoin, BNB, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and XRP. They're the top players. They're the ones I like to trade. So is Matic going to be flying anytime soon? So this is my theory on Matic, okay? This is my theory on it. And Matic's unpredictable, but this is my theory. Is that this last move that we had here was based off that announcement of Coinbase last night. And I don't really understand what it is that they've allowed to take place, but it's not that it's getting traded on Coinbase. It's not that you can buy it or sell it for fiat. That would be a big deal if it was something else. And because I didn't really understand it, I thought, well, I'm not going to bother throwing money into that, because I don't understand it. I'm not going to bother reading about it. But I think this pump was as a result of that. Now, it came at a good time. It came in the time of what would appear to be a bit of a bullish push across the board, so it's done quite well for itself. But because it was a move off the back of essentially a tweet, I can't say that it's going to have continuation. Although, and this is my TA coming back into play here, we haven't had a death cross. We were waiting for a death cross on the daily, and we haven't had that yet. If we stay above this price action here, above this green 50, we won't get that. So we need to stay above 1.7 cent. If we stay above 1.7 cent, we won't get a death cross. There's no reason to suggest that we'll collapse much further than the top of that green 50. Hopefully we'll stay above it, and that would be good. If we can stay above that, hopefully for a period of a few weeks, that will suggest nice accumulation, and then I might get bullish on it again. Technically, we're still playing out the golden cross that we had here, causing this big move. So we don't want to see big pumps on this, and this is a pump caused off a tweet, so I don't really like it. I don't think it's a genuine move, but it's held up okay over the period of the last 6 weeks, hasn't it? Since this big move down here, it's not trickled down any further. It's different to the way that this parabolic move happened. This happened, and then we came down, we bounced down, bounced, and that's the sort of natural move you'd expect after a parabolic move. This is different. So we can't look at that on the old fractal basis, but we can look at it on the moving average basis, which is for me the most reliable way to trade. So I think if we can stay above the green 50, we can accumulate. The MACD looks okay. That looks like it's in an accumulation phase, apart from this last little leg here where we pumped up. So yeah, I'd like to see it underneath 2 cent, or maybe even yeah, around about the price action that it is right now, but underneath 2 cent, I'd like to see it for a prolonged period of time, maybe another month to 6 weeks or so. Give it time to accumulate, give it time to show us that it's not weak, and then we can look at putting some money in it and wait for something similar to this to take place again. That's my theory, that's what I'm expecting with Matic. If we start going mental again on this, we'll only get this back again. You know, if we start to see big moves of 50% in a day or whatever, you know, you'll be FOMOing in and you'll be risking yourself, because it's not, this was something that we expected and we planned. And if you watch my channel, we were watching this accumulation and we were accumulating it ourselves. We were waiting for the big moment, and then we got that big moment, and then we also spotted the top. If you watch my channel, I'm not trying to say I was, you know, I mean, obviously I was right, but I'm not saying that to sound like I'm boasting about it. I'm saying we spotted the top, so we used the TA to accordingly get in at the bottom and get out at the top. So if we can't use the TA properly, if something doesn't feel right, then I won't do it. This is why I was saying about stuff like VeChain. I don't like the look of it. Same with Tron. I don't like the look of it. I can't use the TA on that effectively, so I'm not really going to bother with it. And same with Matic at the moment. I don't think that the TA is worth much on it right now. I need to see it over another month or so to see what it looks like then, to decide if it's something that I'm going to put my money in. I don't want it to pump now. I just don't want that. This accumulation phase should take place over a lot longer period, so I'd like to see it, you know, maybe another 2 weeks minimum, but ideally another 4 to 6 weeks. That'd be great. And we don't want to see big moves during that period. We want to see it sort of slowly and surely trickling up like we did over this accumulation period. So we'll see. If we can stay above the green 50 and accumulate above there, I'd be very happy. We can get involved. Right, well, like I say, if you want me to look at anything else, let me know. I'll have a quick sip of tea and give you a chance to respond. Otherwise, I'll let you go. And like I say, I hope you enjoy your weekend. I don't know if any of you have watched my channel enough, but I've got a baby due. My missus is due to give birth. Due date is actually tomorrow, so I'm expecting a baby to be born any second now. So it kind of means that this channel might get neglected. I don't want to do that, but you know, I don't know if any of you got kids. I've got one already. I know how much time they take up. So, like I say, this is your last chance to get me before a baby's born, really, because I am expecting it actually to be born tomorrow. But otherwise, yeah, I hope you have a great weekend. Like I say, feel free to donate to me. It will go into my nappy fund. Donate to me through Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever. You'll see the wallet addresses below. But no pressure. It's your money. I'm sure you've got better things planned with your money than spending it on my baby's nappies. Anyway, I hope you have a nice weekend. Take it easy. And yeah, see you later.